Welcome back. Yesterday we were talking about the Equal Rights Amendment, or the ERA. This was an amendment that was supposed to bring equality to men and women. And no matter your gender, you'd been treated equally under the law in things like employment, education, family issues, that men and women would always be treated equal. There'd be no special privilege for either gender. Yesterday we were reading about how this amendment had huge support, but ultimately ended up failing, didn't end up passing. Our goal is still to try to be able to explain why. Why did this amendment fail to pass? Now, it ended up being about 3 states short. So, to get an amendment passed, you need 2/3 of Congress plus 38 states, which is 3/4 of the states. Equal Rights Amendment passed Congress, got through 35 states fairly easily. It just could not get over that hump to get to actual 38 states. Now, when it passed Congress, they put a 10-year deadline. They don't want it just sitting out here forever. They said, hey, within 10 years, you need to get 38 states. And it didn't make it. The question now is well, why do we care if it was 10 years or not? Does that really matter? The deadline doesn't matter, does it? Can we just extend the deadline or just start over? So over the past 2 or 3 years, 3 more states that had never agreed to it just agreed. So we now have 38 states who have agreed to this Equal Rights Amendment. 3 of them didn't get it within the deadline, but they agreed to it. Does it matter if it was within the deadline or not? A lot of people argue that it shouldn't matter, that we should ratify and accept this amendment, and it should be put into place now. But at the same time, 5 states who had already agreed to it changed their mind and said, no, we don't want to agree to it. Now, should their change mind count? Should they be able to change their opinion decades later? Some would argue, well, these 3 states never voted yes or no, so voting yes now counts as their one vote. The ones that voted yes and changed their mind don't get a second chance. And so we're in kind of a weird spot with the Equal Rights Amendment where, should this be allowed or not? Here are where all the different states stand. The blue are the states that agreed to it originally. All right, they voted yes, and they're still voting yes. They haven't changed their mind. The red states voted no, haven't changed their mind. The green states are the ones that voted yes, but after the deadline, 40 years later, not like a week later. They're several decades later. The purple states are the ones that have since changed their mind and said, no, we're not in favor of it anymore. All right, so we're in this weird spot of well, we need to get to 38. Does the deadline matter? Can people change their minds? Should we have to start over completely? Very confusing stuff. We'll watch a video about some of these current events. We're going to answer some questions on the Pear Deck. Do you think the ERA should have to start over? And do you think the new votes should count? Do you think the switched votes should count? Your goal today is to explain why the Equal Rights Amendment failed. Explain in your words. I got a writing guide for you to follow. What were the arguments people made to be against this? Which reasons do you think most caused this to fail? I'm not asking about your opinion here. Whether you agree with these arguments or not, what argument do you think ultimately led to its failure? And then give me some evidence and then explain why was it so important to leading to its failure.